everyone, welcome back to Blackwatch Intel. My name is Crashy, and today I want to kind of do a meta report. Now, this is nothing official. I just want to get this disclaimer out of the way. I don't know why I do this in like so many videos, but this is my opinion. I'm going to be going through the entire list of heroes, as you can see on the overlay here on the video, and I'm just going to be talking about what I think their, strengths are, kind of where they fall in the meta, if they're, going up in the meta, if they're going down, and just kind of run through how I'm perceiving the game right now. So the first we're going to be looking at is the offense tree, or the DPS tree rather, and I have everything in alphabetical order based on their role, so it's going to just jump around. I didn't want to have to break it up by offense, defense, and do anything like that, so it's just every hero alphabetical order by their role. So the DPS category, we have Bastion. Bastion is actually in a pretty cool spot. He is not necessarily unviable. You definitely see a lot of him on payload maps. You see him running kind of like the pirate ship strategy. I hate that name. I've never really cared for it, but you see him being run in pirate ship. He's got, pretty solid hit scan capabilities and self-healing, and he's mobile-ish, whenever he can heal, and which has been a thing for a while, but he's actually not too terrible. So as where I feel like before people would be thinking that Bastion was maybe kind of a troll pick, he's not anymore, and you can actually make him work just because there's so much shields in the game. Thank you, Orisa. So Bastion's actually not that terrible. You probably won't see him that often, but he's definitely got his place. Doomfist, oh, poor Doomfist. Worst hero in the game, I think. Pretty useless. You can get some value out of him, but his ult is just so bad. He's got apparently, 18 plus bugs on his hero, and it just kind of feels like you have to go really out of your way to get value out of him, where you could just pretty much play almost any other hero. You could run triple support and probably get better value out of your pick than picking Doomfist. Genji, the well-rounded cyber ninja himself, pretty much useful in the majority of comps. I actually think this is a hard meta for him. A Genji player myself, I'm still having success playing him, but the Junkrat is just insane, literally ridiculous. Pharah has always been good against, Genji, and so she's seeing some decent amount of play, at least on the competitive ladder, and Pharah's in a pretty good spot. And it's just really hard to play against Junkrat, and now Moira doesn't necessarily help. I wouldn't say she's a hard counter, she's kind of a soft counter to Genji. She definitely gives him a little bit of trouble, kind of a run for his money, but he's always going to be pretty good. Hanzo. Oh, Hanzo. What I'm going to say is probably the second worst hero in the roster. His damage consistency is just super low. Hard to get value out of him. You pretty much need the Zarya pick to, guarantee that you're going to get some value out of him. And you have to be good. He's a mechanically, intensive hero. So he's not terrible. He's just not the easiest hero to get value out of. And, I don't know, he's got a high skill ceiling and a very low skill floor, it seems like, but he's not even that great overall. His potential is just kind of low in my opinion. Junkrat's nuts. I think, before I didn't think he was very overpowered. Now I kind of think he's pretty overpowered. I don't know if they need to nerf his shots, his grenades. I don't know if they need to nerf his mine. The burst damage is almost impossible to stop if he, if he just slaps it on you, and it's just ridiculous. He's pretty reliable. You can use him in the majority of situations, and he's pretty much only countered by Pharah, I guess. I don't know, he's insane. McCree is solid. I think McCree will always have a place. His ultimate's weird. You pretty much have to baby him when you are using his ultimate, and that's fine, but you don't see a lot of that in the competitive ladder. So McCree's good, he's not great, but he's good. Mei is pretty much only used for stalling and, over time when you want to build up the Mei ult and have something to throw out. She's pretty easily counterable, but she's tanky in her own way. People always want to tank Mei for whatever reason, so she's not terrible. She's got some good usage and not bad. Pharah, overall, one of the better DPS in the game. Just similar, really solid. It's like Soldier. You can't go wrong with a Pharah. Pairs really great with Pharah Mercy, obviously, but kind of in a way needs Mercy. I play a lot of projectile DPS myself, and when I'm playing Pharah, I can do well without a Mercy, but it just feels like, if I'm Pharah, you might as well Pharah Mercy with me and let's get some crazy value. So really good, but, needs a little bit of babying. Reaper's in a good spot. He's weird though, because I feel like he's the same way, kind of like McCree with his ult, but like all the time. You can play flank style Reaper, but it's kind of like high risk, high reward. You know, if you get behind them and then die, you've just instantly staggered yourself, so it's risky. But if you do get in the back lines and you get a pick, that's great. And he has a great ultimate. He's just so immobile, so you kind of have to baby him. I feel like he's pretty good in you know, defense comps on certain points in certain maps, or just, you know, a death ball kind of hero. Soldier 76, you know, he is DPS. He is the stable DPS, solid ult, you know, great mobility, great self-sustain. You can never go wrong picking Soldier, more or less. Sombra, however, is like half support, half DPS, you know, is really great on certain points, like, you know, 2 CP maps and first point defense on Route 66. She has her usage. She's, you know, one of those really niche heroes where you're probably not going to see her much on the competitive ladder used to a good, you know, kind of value or an extent. She's going to be seen more at pro level play, if anything, and she's just super niche. And Torbjorn, first point defense. Torbjorn is probably the only way to go with Torbjorn. I mean, you can put him on carts and let his turret run forward, but you might as well run pirate ship with Bastion at that point. And Torb's not bad. Torb is a really good hero. He's just very particular. He's very, very niche, and if I'm not talking about one-tricking here, I'm actually just talking about the hero, the balance, and what he's capable of. Torb is just, you know, he's very particular. He's useful for, you know, a certain set of things, and that's good for him. He works that way, and he's strong. You know, make no mistake, Torb is strong. Tracer is the untouched DPS of the roster, more or less. I don't know if they've ever actually directly buffed or nerfed Tracer. She's just good. She's, you know, got a low skill floor and a massively high skill ceiling. She has insane potential, but you have to be good with her. You have to know everything. You gotta be quick. You know, you gotta be in and out. You gotta be insane. You gotta land the ults. She's nuts. She pairs great with a lot of comps, really good in dive, obviously, and she's just overall an amazing pick if you can actually put in the work to get good at her. Widowmaker, super low skill floor and super high skill ceiling. Pretty much one of the probably like most skill required heroes in the game. She's all mechanical aim. She's like McCree, but more, you know, because you don't have a flashbang and you don't even have an ult that can get kills. So Widowmaker is nuts. You know, there's nothing wrong with Widowmaker's balance. I think for the majority of the player base, she's just not a pick for you. And that's okay. She's nuts. So if you have a good Widowmaker, that's awesome. Moving over to the tank role, we have D.Va. D.Va's in a cool spot, but it's kind of a weird spot. I actually think she's probably the least viable tank for the competitive ladder, and I have to explain this by just saying that she's only good for one thing now, and that's like killing. She's just like a, you know, you fly at a target, you know, blow your rockets and you just go crazy and try to kill them. And that's cool, that's really good, but her defense matrix makes her not tanky at all. She's probably the squishiest tank in the roster currently. And if you're not running some form of dive comp or some form of aggressive comp, I don't think she's actually the right pick. A lot of the times I find, you know, my team is kind of running death ball and then we have a D.Va and she ends up getting caught out or just not filling a role we could be using properly. Like any other tank in a lot of scenarios feels better than D.Va unless you're running dive comp. And if you're running dive comp, D.Va is insane. Orisa is nuts. I don't know if I think she's OP or not. I think about it sometimes. I think the shield might need a small nerf. I don't think she's crazy good. No, she's crazy good. Orisa is insane. She's the shield queen, the best shield in the game probably, has a pretty strong ultimate. She puts out good damage. That's, you know, that's a plus for a tank. It's awesome. Reinhardt, always stable, strong tank to pick. You know, Earth Shatter is nuts. Fire Strike is nuts. You know, super strong shield. Melee capabilities, you know, one-shot potential, he's great. Reinhardt will always be great. Roadhog, since the changes, holy, it's so hard to kill Roadhog. He's good, but you have to be good with him. I actually find that I'm not the greatest Roadhog, you know? I have trouble being decent with Roadhog, and I think he's in a winning seat right now. He's doing well in the meta because I feel like he fits in a lot. You know, he's very self-sustaining. You can carry with him in a sense. And I'm interested to see where he finds his place in, you know, certain team comps and how the pro teams work with him. You know, Orisa, Roadhog is pretty nuts. You can set up some hooks. It's pretty awesome. Winston, dive tank, king, strong tank, stalling tank. Winston's nuts. He's great at chasing down flankers. He's great at chasing down healers. And I think he is just you know, he's the Reinhardt of dive. You know, he is the stable tank that you're going to want to have in a lot of comps. He pretty much only gets countered by Reaper, and even then, if you force a team to run Reaper to counter you, you're doing something right. And I think most Winston mains probably aren't even worried about Reaper. I don't know, I've never really talked to a Winston main, but like, I'm not worried about Mei and, you know, certain heroes like Winston when I'm playing Genji. I'm sure Winstons aren't super worried about Reaper, but you know, he may force a change. Zarya is nuts. She's a DPS tank if you can get some charge. She has the best ultimate in the game, probably. She helps win so many games. She combos with so many heroes. She's just nuts. She's insane. Super strong value. I think Zarya is probably my favorite in the roster to have on a team. You can always rely on her. She can sponge up a bunch of damage. She's not super tanky normally, but she's tanky enough and has some of a health, you know, kind of self-healing mechanic in a way for having the armor. So super awesome. Going into supports. Now the support tree, I didn't say this for tanks, I meant to say it. The tank tree is super balanced. The DPS tree is, you know, kind of all over the place because there's so many heroes. The support tree is also pretty balanced across the board. I think it's best to be a tank player right now. You can play whatever you want if you're a tank player, more or less. I mean, like I said, I think D.Va falls a little short on the competitive ladder. It just depends on comps with D.Va, but the support tree is super spread out in terms of viability. So jumping into Ana, Ana's nuts. She's good. I think she's maybe on the back end depending on comp. There's just, you know, you could run through the scenarios of healer pairings and what you can do with them, and there are so many, and I think that's great. Ana's great for nanoing tanks to win fights. She's great for nanoblade, nanovisor. You know, she's great. She's got, you know, the strong, you know, E ability or the biotic grenade. The biotic grenade is nuts. It's always been kind of OP to me, but I don't think they should change it because of the way the hero works. I think she's pretty good if they don't decide to do some changes to her. I made a video kind of talking about her. I do hope they change her reload speed or her magazine size, something to give her a little bit more viability, although I think she's great. I think she's a very fun hero, a super well-designed hero. Lucio. It's going to take me some time to kind of see how the pro scene is developing, but at least right now on the competitive ladder, I feel like Lucio is going down in viability. He already was with the massive, you know, increase in popularity and strength of Mercy, but adding in Moira, Lucio not being the strongest healer, you know, he's got an insane ultimate, but not being the strongest healer is kind of knocking him down notches because he's not a damage dealer. You can't compare him to Zenyatta in that, right? So Lucio kind of losing some points to me, but we may see him, you know, in the dive comps for sure, but potentially, you know, who knows? I don't exactly know what will be meta in terms of support pairings for dive comp, but he'll still be useful in dive comp for sure because of the speed, and we'll just have to kind of see how Lucio develops. And I'm just not too sure at this point. I think he's good. I think it's great. If you're a Lucio main, keep maining him, that's fine. And we'll see what happens. Mercy's good. She's nuts. She's been nerfed like 5 times. She's been reworked. She's still good. The double res on Valkyrie, the potential, you know, anti-pick res, even with the slow animation. She's just good. She's stable. She's strong. She's the Reinhardt, the Winston, the soldier of the support tree. You can always count on a Mercy. I don't think she's a bad pick at all. I think she's better in certain comps than others, for sure, on certain maps, certain defensive points. But she's stable, she's strong, and you can rely on her. Moira is nuts. I have been saying I don't think she's OP, but if I'm honest, I think her ult generation is a little OP. How fast she can charge it is pretty nuts. I'm gonna be looking for that to go down by about 25 to 30%. She has ult almost every single push, almost every single fight, and while I think her skill floor is pretty low, she's not just super easy to learn, I don't think her skill ceiling is as high as some other heroes in the game, but she is getting a ton of value out of her play, and that's good. That's great that we have a strong support hero like that in the roster. I think the release of Moira, not only because of popularity, but because of her strength, is kind of pushing some other healers down, and we'll just have to wait and see. Like I said, the support tree is a little spread out for me to make some solid predictions on. But Moira's good. So if you want to play Moira, if you know you're not just honeymooning her because of her release, then definitely get into it. She's going to be a great healer. Symmetra, of course, will always be in the same position, kind of same as Torbjorn. She's just very niche. You know, you'll use her on first point defenses. You'll set up. You'll try to get a teleporter, maybe a shield gen. but you're not going to see her changing very much, and I don't think that she should. I think that's fine. We've done videos talking about niche heroes in the past. This is just what she's developed to do, and that's okay. If you love Symmetra, that's great. Use her when you can, and then be a support player, hopefully for your team, you know, post that that initial stage of getting value out of her. As for Zenyatta, Zenyatta's going to be great. He is a counter to Genji. He's a counter to Soldier Ultimate. He is a counter to Zarya Grav. He is great. He brings a lot of damage to the team by doing damage himself and discording. You know, his orb is a little bit versatile. It's very instant. You can put some heals out. I think, you know, healing pairings with Zen Ana and Zen Mercy will be strong. We'll have to see. I think it's just, you know, off healer, main healer type of combination. And then we may still see some Zenyatta Lucio dive comp. It's hard to say. But that's my thoughts on the current state of the meta. I think that this version of the meta is probably the most balanced we've had in a very long time. A very, very long time. I think the heroes that I would think need the most changes right now are probably Junkrat and Doomfist. If I'm totally honest, those heroes need the most changes. Doomfist needs to come back to the meta at some point, in some way. I just can't believe he's been left alone and so useless for so long, in my opinion. And Junkrat, he, you know, I don't think he's crazy OP. He's definitely not, you know, Mercy rework OP, but he's just doing a little bit too much for how high his skill floor is. And maybe we'll do a video talking about that. Maybe we'll talk directly about Junkrat. Maybe we'll talk about skill floor and skill ceilings. I don't know, but his skill floor is pretty high. His skill ceiling is high. You know, I don't know how easy it is to get into him and how much value you can get out of him. You know, it doesn't take that much to master a Junkrat. You have to be good. You have to have situational awareness, a lot like Mercy, but he's pretty nuts. He just does a lot of damage. And so that's my thoughts. Let me know in the comment section below. What do you think about the current state of the meta? This video was really long, but I was excited to do it. I wanted to, you know, mess with designing on the overlay. Thanks for checking this out. Get involved. Follow me on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. You know, jump into the Discord and check out some of my live streams that happen occasionally. So thanks again for stopping by the video. Please don't leave leaving a like and subscribe for future content. I appreciate it again, and I'll see you on the next video.
Do you feel your bones start to shake? Do you feel the earthquake? Do you feel the fire inside of me? Do you see the sparks that I'm setting free? Does the beat take you over? You just